Good evening. I'm Kelda Yoon. The family of a 16-year-old boy who went missing from the Weston Road and Lawrence Avenue area more than a week ago now are appealing for information tonight as Toronto police continue their search for the teen. The mother of Chenier Matthew Cranston says she's concerned for his safety after receiving what she calls an out-of-character text message from him shortly before he went missing. Nama Weingarten has more from the family tonight.
His room here is still on the same angle that he left the sheets. And his charger is here, his PS5 is here, the speaker is here. He wouldn't go anywhere without this. His IDs are still here, his wallet is here.
Chenier Matthew Cranston's mom says she had a feeling something was wrong when she got a text message from her son 10 days ago.
Even the wording still doesn't sound like him.
It said he's leaving for 4 to 6 weeks for a job opportunity, with hotel and transportation provided. He then told her not to panic or reach out.
Gone for 4 to 6 weeks without me. A hotel and transportation. Which hotel? Who's transporting you?
The 16-year-old hasn't been seen or heard from since that day, August 26.
It's so not like him. It doesn't make sense. He wouldn't go a day and not communicate with me.
He was looking forward to the new school year. His baby brother's birthday, first birthday, is in a few days. He wouldn't miss that.
His family says it looks like his phone has been off, saying the last time police were able to ping it was in the area of Highway 401 near Jane Street.
Chenier, baby, where are you? Please call me. I'm worried sick. Several phone calls. Come on, baby, answer mommy. I love you so much. Several phone calls. I feel he's not allowed to communicate with me. It doesn't make sense.
The family says they met with the missing persons unit, who've now been looped into the investigation. At this point, police are classifying it as a level 3 search, the lowest level, where there's minimal concern over the missing person's ability to care for themselves or them being the victim of a crime.
All I can say is that maybe he gave his trust to somebody and they took advantage of it.
Chenier is definitely not a runaway. He always said, I'm going to stay with you as long as I possibly can. I'm not going nowhere. And now here we are trying to find one of the nicest boys out there.
Police say they're actively searching for Chenier and are following any tips they get. Unclear what sparked his disappearance. His family, meanwhile, just wants him home.
Just come home safe. Come home in one piece. Mommy loves you. Your whole family loves you.
Chenier is described as 5'9" and approximately 200 pounds. Police are appealing for anyone with information to contact them. Nama Weingarten, CBC News, Toronto.
York police are searching for several suspects tonight following a terrifying home invasion in Markham that was captured on video. Home security footage captures the moment a group of armed men wearing masks broke through the front door. Once inside, they threatened the residents at gunpoint while demanding money and searching for valuables. 3 adults and a child were home at the time, but nobody was hurt. Police believe the home was targeted and not a random attack. Well, the time has come. It's the first day that thousands of convenience stores across the province are able to sell alcohol. Alicia Hassan visited one of those stores on Queen near Trinity Bellwoods Park and has reaction.
A lot of people I spoke with today were like, whoa, I can buy booze in convenience stores already? And they're right to be surprised. That wasn't supposed to be a thing until 2026. Premier Doug Ford did accelerate this, so here we are. 4,200 convenience stores across the province are now selling beer, wine, ready-made cocktails. That includes mega chains and independent stores. They will ask for ID. Some stores will keep the booze fridges locked. Many customers say they like the convenience. Others have concerns.
Actually pretty happy with it. I think the LCBO is an unnecessary oligopoly, or rather monopoly on alcohol sales, so I'm happy that other people will have the opportunity to make some money off of it. I've lived in other countries where, in the UK and in other parts of Canada even, where it's legal, and I've never seen an issue, so I don't expect it to be.
I think it makes it a lot easier to get alcohol, obviously. Having to find an LCBO to get alcohol is kind of annoying.
I grew up in Newfoundland where they always served beer at convenience stores, so it's maybe a little bit going back to the norm.
This is great for people to have options. If people are going to consume it, they're going to figure out a way to get it one way or another.
Keep it out of the convenience stores where, it's just a nice environment to come and just get for your snacks and, just little stuff, just keep it to the LCBOs.
You know who is happy though? Those convenience store owners who now have a lot more on offer.
So I'm so excited about this beer selling and wine and champagne. My sale is so low. Every day I have a very low traffic. So when this beer will come, my traffic will come up, and in my view, I will go more than 50% to my sale. And it's very huge support for us, very huge support.
Ontario Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie condemns this, basically saying the money it costs to roll this out could be better spent elsewhere, on social services, transit, the environment. It does cost hundreds of millions in buyouts to the beer store and paying the LCBO for lost revenue. Bonnie Crombie estimates a $1 billion cost to taxpayers. Meanwhile, Premier Doug Ford tweets this video saying, "Cheers to choice."
We're leveling the playing field and giving small businesses the opportunity to grow and create good local jobs. Most importantly, we're giving you more choice and convenience. Cheers to choice.
Cheers.
20% of the beer being sold has to be from smaller companies. 10% of the wine has to be sourced from smaller wineries. So that choice will vary from store to store. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
Tenants of a Toronto apartment building are fighting an above-guideline increase to their rent. They're arguing their landlord is planning to use part of it to cover the cost of preparing the buildings for possible redevelopment. Angelina King explains.
For nearly a decade now, Amy Knipp has looked forward to walking through these doors at the end of the day.
It's my home. It's where I got my first dog. It's where I've had lots of ups and downs, and it's everything to me.
But she worries she might not be able to afford to live here much longer. Her landlord applied for an above guideline rent increase, or AGI, during the pandemic rent freeze in 2021. Then the property sold. The new landlord took over the AGI, and residents are fighting it at the Landlord and Tenant Board. If it's approved, Knipp will owe around $1,000 in retroactive rent.
If this AGI gets approved, it'll be do I pay my rent this month or do I eat?
AGIs allow landlords who've done major capital work to apply to increase rent by up to 3% a year for 3 years to help pay for that work. That's on top of the annual rent increase set by the province. This AGI is to recoup costs for new boilers, roof replacement, paving, and something listed as the most expensive cost, nearly $300,000, which has the tenants protesting.
Tenant! Power! Tenant! Power! Tenant! Power!
That's site remediation, which the tenants argue is actually their landlord trying to get them to largely pay for the process of environmental testing to acquire a report, which is needed to help greenlight the property for sale or redevelopment. The neighborhood tenant union argues it doesn't benefit residents and isn't an eligible AGI expense.
We've seen nothing like this before, and it is absolutely outrageous. It's also a demonstration of how above guideline increase applications are being abused over and over and over again by landlords.
Assistant Professor Nimoy Lewis researches the corporatization of housing. He says he'd be surprised if the site remediation expense is approved.
We could be setting a dangerous precedent if the adjudicator at the Landlord-Tenant Board Tribunal approves these expenses, largely because these expenses are non-essential.
Landlord QMW Corp said its AGI is justified and the work is essential to maintaining and improving living conditions for tenants. In a statement saying, the AGI request aligns with regulations allowing recovery for upgrades that enhance tenant living standards, not for future redevelopment. Our goal is to balance immediate tenant needs with long-term property plans, including the possibility of adding new rental units to the city's housing needs. Tenants like Sheikh Hussein are afraid of what's next. Investor documents show a plan from 2021 to renovate 3/4 of the 115 units to increase rental income. It also shows this, a conceptual drawing of a 36-story condo and another 9-story building added to the property.
This is my home, and I don't want to leave here.
QMW is adamant it's not displacing tenants to raise rents. As for any potential redevelopment, that's in the early stages. Nothing has been submitted for approval, but there is an upcoming meeting with the city. The AGI dispute is currently before the province's Landlord and Tenant Board. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back. The Toronto International Film Festival kicked off today. Now, day one of TIFF is winding down, but it isn't over yet. Midnight Madness, a festival favorite, is just getting underway. Let's bring in Magda Gabriselassie at the Royal Alexandra Theatre on the red carpet for The Substance, starring Demi Moore. Magda, a lot of buzz around this film. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Kelda, it's no secret that Hollywood has this obsession with youth. And this is a film, a body horror film that really takes on the topics of ageism and sexism. Starring in this film is Demi Moore. She plays the role of a fitness celebrity that's been told she's too old and it's time to replace her. And in an effort to hang on to her life, she injects herself with a substance that releases a younger version of her. Now, we are on the red carpet waiting for the stars and the director of this film. We're expecting Demi Moore to be here, as well as her co-star, Margaret Qualley, and the director of the film. This is one that many people have been talking about. It's been received well at other festivals, and it is definitely a talker. It also kind of fits into a genre that we're seeing at TIFF in other films as well. There's another film called Shell, starring Kate Hudson and Elizabeth Moss, that tackles these topics as well of ageism. So this is one to watch for sure, Kelda.
And Magda, you've had a busy night. Earlier tonight, you were on the red carpet for the world premiere of Nutcracker, starring Ben Stiller, and it's been a while since we've actually seen him on the big screen.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been about 6 or 7 years since he's been in a starring role. He's been spending most of his time behind the camera directing projects, but this was a chance for him to get back in front of the camera. And in this film, he plays the role of Michael, this man that is a workaholic and self-obsessed, and then his life changes and he's kind of forced to turn to his family after there is a tragedy. He's called to an Ohio farm where he now has to be in charge of raising his 4 nephews. And talking to Ben Stiller on the red carpet, he was really excited about getting involved in this project, and he told us what it was about this particular script that took him from being behind the camera to back in front. Take a listen.
It's interesting because I read the script, and David said, first of all, David's someone I've always wanted to work with. And he sent me this script, and he said it's about these 4 kids, and I know these kids, and they live on this farm in Ohio, and they've never acted before, and I think this could be really fun and crazy, and I'm going to shoot it with one camera on film and kind of make an homage to a lot of the movies that I loved growing up, that that we both love, these sort of like family comedies that aren't cynical. And I was like, when I read it, I was like, wow, this really isn't cynical. This is really like heartfelt.
So that's 2 red carpets tonight. There's so many more red carpets happening tomorrow for day 2 of TIFF. We've got one for Unstoppable. That's the Jennifer Lopez film. She's expected to be on the red carpet tomorrow. Another one, The Last Showgirl with Pamela Anderson. That has a red carpet tomorrow as well. So there's a lot to look forward to for day 2. Check it out tomorrow.
All right, thanks so much, Magda. I'll let you get back to it. I know you're still waiting for Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley to hit the red carpet there, and of course you have a very busy week ahead. Thanks so much. That's our Magda Gabriselassie live for us tonight. And you are looking at an outdoor sing-along earlier this evening hosted by the musical group Choir Choir Choir, held in celebration of one of Canada's most beloved bands, the Tragically Hip. And that sing-along followed the world premiere of the band's new docu-series, No Dress Rehearsal, which kicked off TIFF today. Del Manukduk was at that red carpet premiere and has more.
Now, let me tell you a little bit about this docuseries. It's a 4-part docuseries. It runs 4 hours and 16 minutes. Again, it's named No Dress Rehearsals after one of their famous lyrics in Ahead by a Century, but also a message about how you only get one chance at life. There are no second goes at this. And we know what happened to Gord Downie, his battle with brain cancer that ended in 2017, but just the last moments of his life and how much strength that he had and showed this country. Now, this documentary is about 5 scrappy kids from Kingston, Ontario: Gord Downie, Gord Sinclair, Rob Baker, Johnny Fay, and Paul Langlois. It's about how the music they made defined Canada to the world and defined Canada to Canadians. I spoke with Mike Downie, Gord Downie's older brother, who produced and directed this docuseries. Here's what he said he hopes Canadians take away from the film.
What do I want Canada to know? How great these guys are, man. I want Canada to know that what happened over 35 years with this band was absolutely, groundbreaking in many ways. When they started out, Canadians looked to America to validate our talent. That's no longer the case. That's in the 80s and 90s, though, that was the measure. And they had to put up with that for all those years. So I'd like, all Canadians to know that what happened did matter and does matter and will always matter to Canadian storytelling and to Canadian songwriting and to Canadian rock and roll.
There were a lot of celebrities, a lot of singers and songwriters at this world premiere, including Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as well, who features in this film, as well as Will Arnett, Dan Aykroyd. So just a lot of people being interviewed about this band, but it also features archival video and archival interviews that nobody has ever seen before. And some of this footage the band had just seen for the first time in decades. I spoke to Johnny Fay and Rob Baker about the film. Here's what they had to say.
Being in a band isn't all what you see on stage. There's a lot more to it, and it's not all celebration. So we'll see. It's probably not the whole story, but it's all we could remember.
When you started to see little bits and pieces of this archival footage that was unearthed, what was your reaction seeing all this old stuff?
Well, it's really crazy. There's some stuff that we shot at Disneyland. And we just showed up with a camera one day, and this woman said, "You can't go in there like that." And she said, "Hang here, and we'll get you to sign this form." And half an hour later, we were in shooting in Disney. You couldn't do that now. That was like, 1990.
This is going to be released to the public on Amazon Prime on September 20th, episode by episode. So maybe that'll give people a little bit of more time to watch it in chunks. We'll send it back to you.
And that was our Dale Manukduk reporting. Meanwhile, a thunderstorm put a damper on the red carpet at the Venice Film Festival today. Heavy rain forced actors and filmmakers to run instead of walk the red carpet, but the bad weather didn't stop everyone. Some attendees posed for photos and made a splash. The storm also put an end to the scorching heat that was baking the Italian city. This film festival is one of the world's oldest and one of the big 5, which includes TIFF. Shoppers in this province are getting their first taste of Loblaw's new ultra-discount no-name store. Now, this location in Windsor is one of 3 concept stores set to open in Ontario this month. The move follows a nationwide boycott earlier this year of Loblaw stores over rising food prices. And one way the no-name stores are cutting expenses is by not selling refrigerated foods like dairy or fresh meat. The company says if the stores are successful, it plans to accelerate expansion of the chain. All right, let's go to Riley Lachuk now with a check on your forecast. And Riley, this stretch of nice weather continue. It was another beautiful sunny day.
Well, definitely, if you're a fan of the warm conditions, Kelda, today was a great day to be outside. I hope you were able to get outside as well, because look at some of these temperatures. 24 in Toronto this afternoon, but some of the heat definitely into southwestern Ontario. 27 in Windsor, 28 in Sarnia. Some of these temperatures a good 5-6 degrees above seasonal for this time of the year. So that's the heat, but you can see if I look at the map into the top corner here, what is our next weather feature? This is a cold front that will sweep through, bringing us some showers showers as we get through the day on Friday into Saturday, and much cooler conditions usher in behind that. So you can see that line of showers as we get through the overnight period begins to sweep into southern Ontario. By the time we get to first thing tomorrow morning, we're definitely into the cloud cover first thing, but a fairly good chance of some showers through the overnight period through Windsor, Chatham, Kent, and into the early morning hours along the Golden Horseshoe. So that's kind of timing that out for you as we get through the overnight hours into the early morning on Friday. Getting through the rest of Friday, this forecast model giving us some heavier pockets of rain around the Hamilton through the Niagara region as we get into the afternoon hours, but a fairly good chance of some showers, some pockets of rain as we get through the day on Friday for the GTA. Back into southwestern Ontario, some clearing as we get through the rest of the day, but that risk of showers continues, particularly into cottage country. As we get through Saturday, could see some of that into the GTA as we get into the later part of Saturday. Some of that starts to wrap around itself, but generally speaking, I've got a chance of showers as we get through Saturday and once again into Sunday, and much colder conditions behind that. The other story will be the winds. So winds to start the day out of the south gusting up to 40 or 50 through the GTA. Those do shift around and we get winds 20 gusting 40 more like through the afternoon hours. Really across the region, we'll start to see that dying off though, as you can see as we get through the afternoon hours. Gusts out of the north, 15 gusting 30 or so by the time we get to the later part of the afternoon. Here's a look at some of your early morning temperatures, 19s and 20s. These are pretty warm for overnight temperatures. Think of these for daytime highs as we get into the weekend. By the time we get to the afternoon, though, really not going anywhere temperature-wise in Toronto tomorrow. 20 degrees by the time we get to the afternoon, 20 through Windsor, 18 in Sarnia as well, and a high of only 15 degrees for Saturday. So much cooler conditions for the weekend with that chance of showers. And Kelda, we rebound temperature-wise, and the dry weather returns as we get into next week.
Thanks so much, Riley.